what we've got is architectural, drawing tools, views in 3D, scan and trace, and settings. I'm actually going to use the scan and trace tab first of all, because ever since the advent of PlansXpress version 5, which came out just before this one, there has been some wonderful tools: import drawing, trace mode, show and hide the drawing, and measure the image scale as well. Show and hide drawing does exactly what it sounds like. I can just click on that and the drawing disappears. I can click it back and here it comes. You don't have to set a layer for it anymore and then hide that particular layer if you're worried about anything in the background that you might have missed. You can just turn it off and turn it back on again. That goes for all versions of PlansXpress. Now, to get these to the right scale, or the right size, sorry, I'm just going to scroll in a bit. It might go a bit blurry, but that's because it's a PDF. You can see the scale of this door, for example. The opening for it is 3.3 meters, or 3,300 mil. I'm going to use this measure image scale here. Just click on it once. And the command window down the bottom is asking me to select the image in which it's going to be scaling. I'm just going to either click on the edge of the drawing or highlight the drawing by holding down the left click and getting your green box up by going from right to left and highlighting the image. There we go. As you can see in the command window down the bottom, it's asking me to give the first corner point for the drawing now as well. Now, also the first point. I'm going to click as close as possible to this line. There we are, just once. And I'm going to hold Shift. Now, it does matter if you hold Shift at this particular point, because if you don't, you're measuring a scale at an angle and it will skew the measurement. So if you here hold Shift, PlansXpress will take it to the nearest 45 degree, and you can click on the next line there. And as you can see, I'm being asked what that distance is. 3,300 mil. Just say OK. Oh, there we go. Just going to scroll out a second. There we go. And there we go. That is now sized to the appropriate scale, and I can start drawing pretty much straight away. I will put some construction lines in around what I'm going to be doing, just so I can snap to some areas really quickly. Construction lines are extremely useful, and if you wanted to know more about how to use them in PlansXpress, give either Tom or myself a call and we will take you through why. So I will click on my drawing tools first of all. As you can see, this is the area for the construction lines. I will be using a vertical construction line first of all, so just left click that, zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to click on the outer shell. There we go, like so, of each section that I'm doing. I'll just left click to get rid of it because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to go horizontal and do the exact same thing here. 1, 2, and 3. This one down the bottom does exist, by the way. Oh, that's actually the outer shell of that one, I think. That's fine. Yeah, this one at the bottom does exist. So I'm going to set that to non-estimated in a moment, but yeah, I'll show you that in a sec. So now we've got our construction lines all set up, ready to go. I can start drawing. And the first thing I need is the existing wall at 2775, because it's double story. I will do it properly. You don't have to, because I'm setting it to non-estimated, but I will do this one properly. So it's 255 ground floor, multi-story. There we go. Now, a lot of you will have seen this already, this sort of thing here. It's just like a dimensional wizard in Estimator Express. So you should be very familiar with it by now, if you're not sick of it already. But basically, height, external and internal leaf thickness. That's something you probably haven't seen, given that Estimator Express doesn't really care about the internal and external thickness. It just cares about what you're using and will judge its thickness based on what you've got. Whereas in PlansXpress, it does matter because it's the drawing. So it will affect how the drawing looks, whether the cavity, for example, is 100 mil or 700 mil. Not that it ever would be, but yeah, you get the point. So these ones are fairly important to have in. Foundation details, same as usual. Footings, likewise. And finally, plastering and decoration. Just hit finish. I'm going to draw this one wall first of all. I'm actually going to just hover over this particular area here. You can see that my mouse is moving around on the bottom right-hand corner of the extension, but the word intersection is not moving around. It's because the mouse point has actually snapped to that area, which is really useful. It's just exactly what I wanted. I'm just going to left click once now. There we go. And you can see I have a little tool just there. I'm clicking again, and there we go. Happy days. Now, I'm actually going to right click at this point and get rid of what I was doing, because that is the only wall that's at 2775. All the rest of them are at 2.4 or 2400. So I will now find the template for 2400, single story. We've already seen this, so I will accept defaults, and I will start drawing the rest of it. There we go. You can see my external side, by the way, is the wrong side. You got the arrow pointing inward towards the extension. Very simple way of getting rid of that. The external side at the top left, just here. Click on that drop-down menu, change the side to left, and there you go. It's now pointing outwards. I'm just going to go to all of these corners that I created very nicely, like so. There we go. Done. So that's the shell of the building already done. I'm just going to hit escape on my keyboard a second. There we go. So that I'm not drawing any more walls. That's the shape that we're using. I'm just going to hit refresh so that it all joins in together. There we are. Happy days. You can even have a look at things like views in 3D at this point. Not that it will actually give me anything at all apart from a shell, because that's, to be fair, all I've done. So there we go. That's what I've got at the sec. There we go. You can see the height of the wall is different. There we are. You can go to wireframe as well and some transparency, but no textures, not in this mode. I'll just get rid of that at the moment. There we go. Okay. I can't see any questions being asked, so I'm assuming everyone's following so far. If we go back to scan and trace, and now I click on toggle trace mode, you can see that all my walls go grey. It's a really handy little tool, that as well. So I just turn that off. There you go. It makes it nice and neat and tidy, and genuinely does help you spot things if you've potentially missed anything as well. There we go. So the next thing that I will be doing is putting in the openings to all of these areas. Sorry, after I've put in the internal walls. Apologies, internal walls. Can't believe I missed those. Internal walls, then we've got your openings. So I'm going to put in some normal partitions here, just using the drop down on the internals. Let's do stud wall. I don't know many people who do metal stud partitions. I've spoken to a few, but not many. I'm going to do a typical stud wall though. 2-4. And you guys have most likely seen this before as well, which is fine. So nice and easy. Height, studding centers, thickness of your vertical studding, and sole plates, head and sole plates. You got the width of the wall. Are you using insulation? and then we've got noggins and reduction of number of studs due to doors or anything like that as well. And finally, plastering and decorating to each side. Just hit finish. Just going to scroll into this corner here. There we go. No, that doesn't work. 1 second. Changing justification this time. There we go. What you might notice as well is sometimes in PlansXpress you will see things like this. Now that is the PDF stretching, and there is going to be a PDF scaling tool properly within PlansXpress, not just the scale mode there, but to stop it from stretching out like that. Otherwise, you may get some wrong measurements, but that I can assure you is correct because I know that this drawing is 300mm. Okay, so that's the internal walls done. Just going to make a couple of measurements here with the drawing tools I've got. Just here. Okay, so 2 meter opening. Uh, 1.8 meter opening. And I believe this is the same as the bifold door at the top there. Just zoom in and out. Yeah, close enough. That's 3.3. Okay, there we go. Yeah, if in doubt, measure what you've got by using the linear dimensional tool in the top left under drawing tools. This wall here, I think you'll remember, was supposed to be not estimated or non-estimated. That's absolutely fine. I don't think I covered that with you guys yet. Okay. What we've got is drawing tools, set selection as non-estimated once you've clicked on the wall. And yes, I am sure. There we go. That item will not be estimated anymore, whereas the openings will be. I think I've got a question there. 1 second. So I had one of the tools set for being upstairs, and does it change the cost later? Oh, the internal walls, because that was going to be my next question. Which walls? The answer is no. That is literally just location. You can change it by the drop-down menu at the top here, but that does not change the cost of the estimate later on. If I had selected a let's say a brick and block cavity wall like I did before, but I had chosen additional floor rather than ground floor, then it would have automatically zeroed out foundations, footings, and that would have affected the cost. But no, the location is literally just for your reference. Awesome. Okay, so the openings that we're going to be putting in are a bay window, 2 smaller windows, 900mm each, bifold doors, structural openings, and a double door coming out here with reveals slightly deeper, I believe. I'll figure that out in a second. In fact, you know what? I'm going to figure that out now. So let's just go onto the doors drop down here. And I'm going to use internal double panel doors. And I will use the top one just there, because that'll make it 1800. Again, you guys have probably seen the doors workbooks already. Door height, door width, reveal and fixing details under the more options here. Bulking factor for any spoil. So when you take things out of a wall, it might not necessarily be the same shape as it was when it was in the wall, and it might bulk out for things like skips, so skip collections, that kind of stuff. So yeah, just make sure you put a bulking factor in. If it's block work, I'd probably put 2. But if it was ground, I would probably put 1.5 or keep it as default. Okay, yeah, reveal areas, reveal depth. I'm going to go 100 mil reveal depth for the moment. Just going to see if I can actually get that right, because I can't quite remember on this drawing. It's been a while. Plastering and threshold details speak for themselves, as well as decoration specification, which we've been through on other things already. I'll just hit finish, and I will look at placing this just here. There we go. Just click once, and when you find the orientation or the alignment of the door, you just click again. For other doors, like single doors, whenever you go left, right, up or down, it goes to all directions, but being a double door, it goes to the one. So I'm just going to click again. I wasn't far off. It was more like it's more like 50. That's fine. There we go. Next is a structural opening. So is it to an existing wall? I'm going to put, there's one of 2 ways you could do this one here. I'm going to do it by putting in a small structural opening and then a normal structural opening. But the way you could do it is by having a large structural opening go all the way across, putting in a structural beam here, a structural post, sorry, and for support. And that's it. That's what you could do, but I'm going to put 2 openings in. So a small structural opening into existing wall. There we go. Cavity wall. There we go. So opening height and width. That was width 2 meters. Yeah. There we go. And just finish that and pop that there. Slightly bigger, isn't it? I'll just double click on that and change that to 2. Yeah, that's better. And then another structural opening here, which is 3.3. So a proper structural opening, that one there. Change this one to 3.3. Pad stones required, yes. Number of slates for packing. Typically, I think it's one or the other for these particular items over on the right-hand side. And yeah, plastering to the reveals and that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to finish, and that one there. Here we go. And a bifold door at the back. Bifolds. Aluminium, I think, is the way to go for most people these days. There we go. Oh, sorry, just cancel that a second. There we go. I've heard a lot of people kind of debate or tell me that they would do whatever, however many panels for a 3.3 meter opening. I've had some people say they'll do 5. I've had some people say they do 3. I think it's more to the customer's specification. So I'm just going to pick a 4 panel for this one, right in the middle, and I'm going to change the width to 3.3. Just there. With regards to steels above door openings, you can use 2 steels back to back if you like. Just remember, this is quite a lot like Quick Quote at the moment, if you're familiar with Quick Quote, in that you don't actually specify materials in this particular part. This is literally getting dimensions, measurements, that kind of thing. You can then add in or remove certain materials or modify them as well in Estimator Express once it's all specified. Incidentally, this is much like the door template we've already used. So fixing details are very similar. Reveal and jam details are very similar as well. And then plastering and threshold and decoration spec. Bit more to it because it's a bifold door, but in essence it's the same. If I just find my center and click once and click twice, here we go. We have our bifold door. Next, I'm just going to put in two cheeky little windows here and here. PVCU 12 deep. I'll go for the 600 and change them to 9. There we go. Again, we have fixing details for windows as well, very similar to the doors, naturally with things like the lintel bearing ends and the window fixing, side fixing centers. Height of the lintel, width of the window, and the window height itself as well. Reveal and jam details, just like on doors. Plastering and sill details rather than threshold details, but in essence very similar. And decoration spec once again. So I'll just OK it, and I will drop this item in here. There we go. 1, 2. Now you might be wondering how Estimator Express figures out which is the external side, so that the window aligns properly, like so, like you can see here. It's based off of what I was showing you a little bit earlier, when you click on one of the walls and you can change the external sides, like I've done here. I've clicked on this wall. We've got a menu come up at the top, and I can actually change the external side to the right. If I hit refresh, the window will change its orientation. So yeah, just a tip there. If you think you've got it wrong, you don't have to delete your walls and try again. You can literally just flip the sides. There we go. Bay windows, they might look a bit more difficult, but they're not. They're exactly the same. Now you don't have to draw kind of walls or anything like that around. You can literally just go window, bay, PVCU in this particular instance. I think it's 2 600s and a 12. Yeah, I think it is. Maybe an 18. Hang on. Sorry, just let me measure it again. 12. All right, there we go. That's fine. There we go. First page, as you can see, is ever so slightly different. We're looking for the angle of the bay, so you can change that to whatever you like. We have the width of the side windows and the width of the main window. Now, there's a load of stuff over here which might not be important for this particular point. This is just the thickness of the wall if you're putting it into an existing wall, so don't worry about it too much unless you're genuinely putting it into an existing wall. You can just leave it as 0. Reveal and fixing details, just like before. The window details, so yeah, height of the window. Sorry, this is the window height and this is the height of the lintel itself. Reveal and jam details once again. Plastering and insulation this time, so it's an extra page, but it's very similar to what we've seen. And then decoration to all of it. Yes or no, basically. So finish, and again, find your center. There we go. I can drop one or more of these in at a time, by the way. If I was to scroll out, I can just drop one in over here somewhere as well, if it was a correct size of wall. There you go, like that. I can drop one there if I want to, but I don't. If you're done, you can just hit escape on the keyboard, and it goes back to normal. There we are. You probably want to see what this looks like in 3D now, because we haven't had a look at it in a little while. I'll just bring back my 3D preview. I think I've made it quite big. Yeah, there we go. That's what we've got at the moment. Okay, so some bifold doors. I'll change it to that one there. There we go. And get rid of it. There we are. I'm assuming you're all still with me. You might be wondering why I didn't put a floor in first of all. The reason I don't put a floor in before I start drawing things like openings is because of these. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm circling around, but I'm circling around the structural openings and the door openings. You need to calculate a slab or suspended timber floor for the ground for all of this area, not just for the central bit. So I like to do freehand all the way around the perimeter. And that way I know I've got enough materials later on. And on that note, architectural, flooring. I am going to choose a floor slab. You could choose any one of these, but they only go in 3 directions. You choose one corner, then another corner, and then it's almost like a box that extends outwards in either a square or a rectangular shape, depending on how long the room is. It literally does it room by room. I prefer the irregular shaped floor slab for this because I can go around the entire perimeter and not have to go through it over and over again. So it just makes it that much quicker. Again, you most likely have seen floor slab, but just a little recap, we've got things like sand lining and subbase and the concrete slab itself, thickness of all this, the thickness of the slab, and then all the questions that you get in Estimator Express as well. So is there a damp-proof membrane, the overlap of the DPM to the perimeter of the slab, and then is there insulation to the underside and the bottom, and is there a reinforcement to the top as well? Sorry, reinforcement to the top and bottom, and is there insulation to the slab? Apologies. And is it power finished? Plant requirement for concrete slab. This is all for you to fill in. Estimator and PlansXpress don't actually know it before you've drawn it, so it can't calculate how many days you might need certain items or hours or anything like that, and also depends on access to the site. So I will leave all that as blank because that is pretty much what you guys would do or estimate. Just hit finish, right, and now we can actually start drawing the slab as well. I'm going to start in the bottom left, just click once, and as you can see, I can just go all the way around these corners like so. There we go, see? Like this. Just going to scroll in a little bit there. You see what I've done already? I've missed out this one. That's fine, I can come back to it. There you go. Right around the perimeter, like this. I'm just going to hit C on my keyboard and that will close that off. There we go. I don't want to do, well, I'll tell you what, I will put insulation around for the moment because it's just literally a box. I'm doing here. 1, 2. Go. That'll do. I do need to get this as well. I completely forgot after 2 seconds after saying it. So happy days. I will click on flooring again and just go 1, 2, 3. I'll square it off with S instead this time. There we go. So we now have a floor slab as well. I can actually turn off trace mode. There we go. There's all my walls, a little bit nicer. Okay. So once you've done all of that, unless there's anything else to do, really, I would start doing the roof. So without further ado, just go back to your architectural, use the roof downward arrow, cut or truss, whichever you're doing. The first one's a lean-to, so it is a cut and it's tying into something else, so it's all cut for this particular one. There is a note on the side of the drawing there saying the slope of the extension roof is 25 degrees. So that's the one I'll select. As you can see, there's no default for that. So I'll just select 30 and change these to 25. There we are. Height of the gable to underside of barn hip. I will leave that as default, but there is no barn hip on this particular building, so it doesn't matter. And then we've got the thickness of the roof as well. I'll keep that as default. Soffit width of gables and eaves. Timber and roof strap details. We'll start going through what's estimated in terms of all your timbers, things like, there we go, length of gable noggins, width of rafters, gable straps at verge level centers, that kind of thing. So make sure you press the extra options button in the bottom left when they appear, because they are quite important. Again, a lot of you probably know this already because you've been doing roofs in Estimator Express. Roof structural information, second part, mostly talks about rafter centers. Are there any barge boards and eaves fascia boards? You have gutter details down here as well. It's actually talking about gutter clip fixing centers and the supplied length. So your supplier who gives it to you or sells it to you will supply a certain length of gutter, and just what is that, basically. Tiling and insulation details. Number of tiles and half tiles required per meter of 3 areas. Abutment, valley, hip. It's basically to avoid small cuts, so to save you more money. Tiling details, basically, is it a dry or wet fixing system that you use, so sand, cement, or proprietary ridge? And roof finishes. So are you going to decorate the roof? No one's going to be living in this space, so I'm going to say no to it all. Say finish. I will use a lean-to roof, first of all. Just this one here. And the command window is telling me to indicate the wall line that the roof sits on. It's only asking for the height, and that's it. I can click on any one of these walls. It doesn't matter. I'll click on this one though. There we are. And I'm being asked for the outer corner of the building. So I'm going to go 1 here. And I'm going to go here as well. And then over here. There we go, we have our roof, well, our first roof on there. In fact, you can probably see that this is a little bit crooked. So what I'll do instead is I will undo what I've done there. It doesn't matter too much because I can just get that back very, very quickly. I'm going to delete my construction lines. I'm just going to bring another one in here, like so. This is something that I'm not sure if any of you've seen before, but you can see where it says midpoint, I hope, on the screen. I am going to make this go 1 mil away from the internal of this wall. So I just hit the R key on my keyboard. There we go. You can see measurements start coming up in front of me. If I press the upward arrow, a distance box comes up. I'm just going to put 1 in there. and hit enter. So that's 1 millimeter difference. Now I've done that for a couple of reasons. One is I actually want a snapping area so that I get a straight line from my roof. Makes sense. And the second is so that when I'm putting my ceilings in, they don't tie into anything else that they shouldn't do, like the insulation or the floor or anything else. Okay. Now you can probably see. There we go. My floor is a little bit out. That's fine though. There we go. So now that that's done, I can bring my roof back and go to the lean-to again. There we are. 1, 2, 3. And it's now straight. I don't want the ceiling just yet, so I'll just say no, because I need another roof to go into here. It's the exact same pitch. That's a good question. Sorry for everyone else who hasn't heard it. Brickwork for the triangle underneath the roof. So I believe that's the gable end. That is automatically filled when you place a roof on. It's part of the wall, but it is automatically filled and is calculated. I will show you in a second. So I'll bring the roof back. And this one is an apex roof. Use this wall this time just because. First corner, second corner. Now, I'm not sure if you noticed before, but with the command window in the bottom, when I was doing the lean-to roof, it was saying indicate the corner length for the length of the building, and nothing else. It wasn't saying anything at all. But if you can see at the bottom now, in the command window, it's actually adding something, whether we're going to tee in to an existing wall or roof line. So because it's a hipped roof, we can do that. Sorry, a hipped roof. It's an apex roof. We can do that. It's not a lean-to. If I just press T on my keyboard, as it tells me to, there you go, all my lines disappear, and it's now telling me to give the wall/roof line to tee into. So if I just click on this roof line here, there we go. It should tee in nicely. There we go. And there we have it. Teed in roof, 3D. Now this will be a good test actually for this particular question, because I haven't seen this in this particular version of PlansXpress. Yeah, there you go. So the gable's filled in nicely. There we are. Remember, the height of this particular wall was a bit higher than the rest of them anyway, so that's fine. But yeah, that's where we are. So we've got some nice shape there. I'll put a ceiling in very briefly. You saw me say no to the question for adding a ceiling there as well again, but don't worry, you can get all that back, just like you can with floor accessories and things. You just use the drop-down menu here, and you can see sloping roof accessories. You can use any one of these, it's absolutely fine. I'm going to use a flat ceiling for a cut roof first of all. There we go. All of this looks kosher to me. And I will scroll right in. Remember, because of that very helpful construction line. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, just hit S and square that off. There we are. And there's that one. And one more. Vaulted ceiling. Again, looks pretty good. Yeah. Oh. 1 point for vaulted ceilings, by the way. It asks for an eaves line, first of all. So there's my eaves line. I can give a start point. So yeah, vaulted ceilings, you need an eaves line before you can start. As I scroll through. There we go. The keyboard shortcuts, by the way, really, really handy, because if you go from one corner to the second and then the third, if you just hit S to square it off on the keyboard, then it will do that for you. So you don't have to go all the way around here like that. Don't worry if you can't remember that. There is a whole list of shortcuts in PlansXpress for this on our support site, and yeah, I can direct you to that as and when. Let me just bring up the 3D again. There we go. So someone's bringing up a particular question with the internal stud walls here going up to the gable. That is a good point, and that shouldn't be happening. And that is a glitch in the 3D. That is not what's actually going to happen in Estimator Express. So that is a good point, and thank you for that. That's something I will raise with the PlansXpress developer. That is PlansXpress, by the way. That is literally all I kind of intend to do on this particular building. I could do loads more, put in things like soakaways and more internal things like underfloor heating and things. But underfloor heating is go through the dimensional template and draw a floor. So you've literally just seen the draw the floor, so it's all good. I will toggle the image and trace mode. There we go. A little bit tidier. There we are. The wall at the back is white because it's not estimated. All the rest are grey. There we go. I'm actually going to save this now. I'm just going to file, save as. Let's go. Something really catchy. Webinar 10.10.2018. I'll save that to my desktop. Nice and simple. And then I'll go to Estimator Express, like so. Now this is a menu you should all be familiar with if you're looking at PlansXpress Take-off as a whole. Because if you don't have Estimator Express and you're looking at PlansXpress Take-off, you're looking at the wrong thing. So here we have Estimator, my estimates here, which I'm going to go into. Probably good practice to hit download prices whenever you do open up Estimator Express, just to be sure. But I've already done that. And if I then go to new estimate, like so, go, and go down to PlansXpress import for rapid takeoff, rather than quick quote or custom estimate using the calculators, I can then choose my file on my desktop. There we go, nice and easy to remember. That's the one. Give it a job name. And a description. Choose which price book you're using. I hope all of you only use one price book, only because downloading prices and things and synchronizing from master price book to a job price book to make sure we fix any issues that have occurred. Master price book is pretty much the only one that will work, because the other ones are not linked to anything. Workbooks is a PlansXpress import, so I can pretty much just leave that as is. The chart type is a small extension. Start date, probably not in 5 days' time. Let's just say 29th. There we go. Specification, extension, and then mini spec stuff. If you don't use this, you should do. It's pretty handy. I'm going to say that we pay, I don't know, say 70p a brick. And I'm going to use plain tiles with plastics and PVCU. Decoration, I'm going to choose HBXL default, and I'm going to choose mini digger for the plant for and labor for excavation. Create. And because I'm using the new version of Estimator Express as well, this should take no time at all. I can't even take a drink. Bonk. There we are. Done. This particular message that pops up is literally just dragging your attention to a particular workbook that needs something to be defined. You might come across it in Estimator Express every now and then, where it will say an item needs to be defined. It's usually a duplicate item, like side 1, side 2, like software side 1, side 2. A lot of the time, you don't need that side 2, so you can just set not required. But that is quite literally it. You bring it all in, you get all your costings, and then add any provisional sums or assumptions or anything like that that you need. Demolition of walls, if you're doing any particular renovation work that you obviously can't draw, and prelims like site establishment, fuel costs, that kind of stuff, the usual that they won't go into a drawing. Add a couple of workbooks in, go to your reports, and create a quote as per usual. I would probably go to chart first of all and just trim this down a bit because you'll notice that it's quite long. So remove the unused build phases, edit the bar chart, bring foundations to week 0, cascade it, refresh. That's a bit better. So if you're using any other piece of software that we have, like Project Expert or Health and Safety Expert, you can import from here and it will base all of its stuff on the chart that you can see in front of you. So Health and Safety Expert will tailor what risk assessments and cost needs that you'll have based on these that you can see. So yeah, top tip for you. That is how you get the job in, draw, and estimate from your drawings. So I have tried to, I think I've answered every question that's come through during the webinar. I am just wondering if you have any other questions moving forward.